Hey everyone, it's Stephanie here, and today I have a video to share a card I've created with a balloon die and a word die to create a shaker card. So for this card, I'm first going to start out with my balloon. I have this balloon stack set of dies from My Favorite Things, and I'm going to choose the third largest balloon. I didn't want the balloon to completely cover my whole entire card front, but I also wanted it to really stand out, so I didn't want it to be too small. So I thought that this worked perfectly for the size that I wanted. And I really like the perfectly round shape of this balloon. I thought it worked really well with the word die that we're going to be using once we get the balloon colored. So to start off, I'm just adding some ink to my balloon. I've just cut this from white cardstock, and I'm using an ink blending tool and Summer Splash dye ink to add color to the balloon. These dye inks work really well for blending. You just kind of got to get a feel for them and use the amount of pressure that you want for the darkness that you want the ink. I like to go a little bit darker on the outside, and then I like to kind of let it lighten up as I go towards the center. So I just kind of use a little bit less of a heavy hand as I get towards the center area, and that works perfectly to control how much ink is going down onto the cardstock piece. So I just always start off the edge so that I don't have any harsh inky lines from the blending tool, and just kind of work my way towards the center. And then now you can see I have a perfectly blended balloon with probably my favorite things color ever. I'm obsessed with Summer Splash and seem to be using it on everything, but I just really love the look of it. So I went ahead, covered my balloon, and now we're going to go ahead and die cut the word part. So I'm using this happy word die from the Brushstroke Birthday Greetings die set from My Favorite Things. And then I'm going to turn this into a shaker card. And for some reason I didn't realize my camera was shut off for a portion of what I was doing, so I'm just going to quickly run through that. I cut a second balloon out of white cardstock that you can see up there above the one I'm working on, and I also cut a balloon out of acetate. And I adhered that acetate directly to the back of the balloon that I have the happy cut out of. And then I adhered foam tape directly to the back of this whole area. And now I'm adding my powder tool to the inside area of the foam. Adding powder to the sides of the foam just helps to prevent the sequins or seed beads or whatever you're putting inside your shaker. It helps stop them from sticking to the side of the foam adhesive since it kind of is tacky. Sometimes I like that tackiness and I like everything to kind of stick because it helps keep some of the pieces of the inside of the shaker card from falling to the bottom. But for the purposes of this card, because it's a small area and I wanted everything to kind of move freely within that word, I definitely wanted to add that powder. So I did that first before adding any of the inside pieces. And then I went ahead and removed all the backing of the foam tape. And now I'm just going to take the second the second balloon die that I cut out, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere that directly onto the back. And that's going to completely seal all those sequins and seed beads in directly behind that word. And you just want to make sure, as you saw when I added my foam adhesive, you just want to make sure that your foam adhesive is completely around that word, not just on the entire back of the balloon, but completely enclosed where the word is so that all of the inside pieces stay inside behind that word. So now to add a little bit of detail to the back piece of my card, I went ahead and ran a white piece of cardstock through my die cutting machine with a stencil and a rubber mat. And what that does is it just allows that stencil design to emboss into the paper. It's not super noticeable, it's very, very subtle, but it just adds a little bit of dimension and detail to the background piece, especially because this is going to be a pretty simple card since I'm going to be making that balloon the focal point. So once I had the white piece ran through my die cut machine with the stencil, I went ahead and die cut it with a rectangle stitch die just to give it a finished edge, and then I adhered it to a green card base. This is just a very, very thin mat. I didn't really want the green to be really dominant on the card, but I felt like the panel that I'm working on needed a little bit of something to kind of pop off the background of the white card base that we're going to adhere it to. So now you can see I added some string to the balloon. It's just a metallic string, and I tied it to the bottom area. And I'm just adhering that finished panel to the card base before I go ahead and add the balloon on. So to do the string part, I like to take matte multi-medium and just kind of put it between my finger and my thumb, and then I just run it down the string of the balloon. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow me to kind of maneuver that string around to how I want it to be on the card. I'm a little bit OCD and I don't like the string to kind of just hang how it wants to. I like to position it and make it look like it's kind of hanging how it wants to, even though I've perfectly positioned it how I want it to look. So that's just kind of what I do. So I just went ahead and kind of looped it around and added it how I wanted it, and then just left an acrylic block on it for a few minutes and that let it dry in place. And then I just took the acrylic block off, and now that string is perfectly where I want it and it's not going to move at all. And then to kind of finish the card off, it is a little bit plain, like I said, just because that balloon is the main focal point, and I didn't really want to do much else to the card because I really wanted that happy shaker component to stand out. But I did add a couple sequins around the outside area of the balloon and a couple directly on it. I used aquamarine and marshmallow sequins from Pretty Pink Posh, and then I also added some silver stickles to the center area, which is what I normally do with my sequins to kind of give them a finished look. And then I also forgot to mention I did stamp the word birthday directly under the die cut area. And then that's going to complete our card for today. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.